Forest experiments. One day, a group of friends decided to go camping in the deep woods to enjoy nature and spend time together. They chose a quiet place on the shores of a lake where no one was around. The first night, as they were making a fire and cooking dinner, they heard a strange sound like someone's footsteps. They thought it was just animals, but the sound went on for longer and longer. One of the friends decided to go see what the noise was, but didn't come back. The others started looking for him, and after a while they found his body, killed violently. They quickly gathered their things and tried to leave the woods, but they noticed that someone or something was following them. Every time they stopped to check to see who it was, no one was around. But when they finally got out of the woods, they noticed that someone or something was following them all the way. They stopped and turned around to see what it was, but no one was around. Then they heard voices, whispers, and crunching branches. They decided to run away as fast as they could. But every time they turned a corner, they saw silhouettes of people following them. Finally, they got out onto the road and stopped the first passing car to ask for help. They were shocked when the driver told them that no one had lived in those woods for years because there had been many murders and disappearances. They were so frightened that they decided never to return to the forest again, and never forgot how lucky they were to have survived. A few years later, one of the survivors decided to return to the same forest to find out what was really going on. He gathered his friends and went there better equipped than the last time. They found that the forest had been abandoned and had grown into a dense forest. However, something was keeping them busy. They began to explore the area, digging holes, studying the trees, and chasing their gut feelings. Eventually, they discovered an old abandoned building that looked like a former sanitarium for the mentally ill. They managed to get inside, where they found evidence that brutal experiments on patients had been conducted there. Among the documents was the name of the man who was responsible for everything that had happened. It was a former doctor who had been connected with the forest murders. They started looking for him, but it was too late. He had died a year ago, and he had no heirs. Nevertheless, friends found some records that indicated that the doctor was not the only culprit. There were mentions of people who had been involved in the experiments and remain at large to this day. The friends decided to keep investigating and returned to the woods again and again to uncover all the secrets associated with the place. Each time they returned, they found more and more evidence that helped them understand what was going on in that forest. But even after many years, each time they returned home, they were left with a feeling that someone was watching them, that there was still a part of the mystery inside the forest that they had never fully solved. After several years of searching, the friends finally found what they were looking for. They found a mysterious bunker that contained records of experiments and their results that had been conducted in the forest. The records contained mentions of new, more terrifying experiments that were to take place in the woods. After careful analysis, the friends realized that their investigation was not over. They decided to spend the night in the forest to find out what was going on and who was really behind these experiments. When they arrived in the woods, they noticed that something was wrong. The bushes and trees were moving, inaudible, and strange noises were coming from them. Suddenly, in the darkness, they saw eyes red, flashing like fireflies. The friends began to run, trying to get out of the woods, but they noticed that someone or something was following them. They got lost and huddled in the bushes, trying to hide from whatever was following them. They heard footsteps, breathing, and voices coming from all directions. Suddenly, they heard voices that spoke the same language as they did. They were mermaids who had existed in this forest for many years and had been protecting it from humans. The mermaids explained to their friends that they had wandered into their territory and that they were to stay here forever. The mermaids didn't like the humans because they thought they were responsible for the mud that got into the bodies of water and for killing animals and plants. The friends found common ground with the mermaids and learned that they had nothing to do with the experiments in the forest. They decided to go home and not to go into that forest again. Now they knew that this forest was not an ordinary forest, but a place where myth